He's done it!
Throws up the floater.
Oh, astonishing.
Pulls off three-pointer.
Welcome back to another episode of Off the Record. I'm Bailey Jackson, joined by my co-host, Lachelle Smith. And like I said, we have a pretty packed episode for you today, hence why we both got our little swigs of our drinks in before we started, because we got a lot of talking to do. A lot of college football, a lot of college basketball. Speaking of which, Lachelle, you had mentioned prior to the show that you wanted to hear from chat about who they want to potentially see on the show. Let him hear it.
Yes, chat. This is where we need your help, because y'all be, very active during the show, but we need some help getting some more guests. Tell us throughout the show, who do you want to see? College football, college basketball, men's, women's. Who would you love to see appear on the stream for us to interview, to talk to? You could put whoever you want throughout the show. We just want to make sure we know what you guys want, because we want to deliver that.
No, absolutely. We cater to you as much as we like to interview the people that we like to talk to. We also want to make sure that you are hearing from the people that you want us to talk to. So with that being said, like I said, like Michelle said, drop it in the chat. Let us know. Maybe DM us. You find us on Instagram. We have our socials linked right there on the screen for you. So if you're feeling shy right now, you can always, like I said, catch up with us a little bit later. But we're going to go ahead and jump into the episode today. Like I said, we've got a lot to talk about. And one of the most anticipated conversations, a wait that practically lasted all weekend, was finding out whether Lane Kiffin was staying at Ole Miss or taking the job at LSU. And here we are today. It was announced this afternoon that he would, in fact, head to Baton Rouge. And what makes this decision so controversial is that he is leaving the Rebels before the college football playoffs. Lachelle, chat, help us unpack this move.
I mean, it's a move that makes a lot of sense. I mean, you don't say no to LSU. As much as people like to say, like, they're not good, they're this, LSU is up there. There are historic programs that if that chair becomes open, you take that chair. And Lane Kiffin did exactly what you should do. You built an Ole Miss program, 11 wins. You're going to the college football playoff, and LSU has come knocking. You get to stay in the SEC. You get a, $25 million NIL roster to build whatever you want. Recruiting is going to be probably even easier. It's hard to convince people to come to Mississippi, but it ain't that hard to convince people to come to Baton Rouge. And you get to do what you want to do, which is building a program and being able to have some success. I think it's a great move. Anybody who thought he was staying, I think just was a hopeless romantic in it all. If he was staying, we would have known 2 weeks ago. We've spent this entire time wondering if he was leaving. We should have all known he was leaving.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of leaving and just Kiffin's track record of leaving programs, especially after winning seasons, we've seen him do this before when he was at FAU. He, left them right after kind of turning the program around, and now he's walking away from Ole Miss following a really strong season. How concerned should LSU be about hiring a coach who might not be in it for the long haul?
I wouldn't be too concerned. I mean, college football with the coaching carousel is pretty fickle. We're talking about programs that fire coaches in the dead of night. I mean, Lane Kiffin has been fired in the airport, leaving USC, not knowing he was going to be fired. That time he was a head coach. So he understands it. At times you have to strike while the iron's hot. There's never going to be another time where Lane Kiffin is in this situation where everybody wants him. I think he understood that. So you take advantage of it. If I'm LSU, with the past, failures you've had, if you are worried about Lane Kiffin leaving, I wouldn't be giving him all this money. I wouldn't be telling him, here's this NIL, here's all this stuff. So I think they have a lot of, confidence that, hey, he's going to stay. He's going to see how successful he could be here, because the only lateral move after LSU was at Alabama. And I don't think he's leaving LSU unless a chair like that becomes open, which might not be open for a little minute. So I don't know. I think LSU's fine. I think they have a lot of confidence that he's going to enjoy being in Baton Rouge. He's going to enjoy being the LSU football coach. I think they have some confidence. I think he does too, which is why this move was so hard for him.
When it comes to Ole Miss now, they're without their head coach, like I said, who's turned around this season, who's turned around this program, some might argue. What are their chances of postseason success now that he's gone, and now that he's looking to take some of his offensive staff with him to LSU? I know it was said before that, or in his statement that was released, that he wanted to stay and coach through the playoffs. Ole Miss said no. Is Ole Miss doing themselves a disservice by telling him no and letting him go to LSU now? Or do you think that there's still hope for them for the rest of the season?
I mean, it's kind of like going through a breakup and you want your clothes back, and the person's like, nope, you left it here. So I'm either going to throw it away or I'm going to sell it, but you don't have any jurisdiction on it. I think that's what Ole Miss did. It was a very hard breakup. It was petty. That's what it was. They knew he wanted to coach. From his statement, he said the team even advocated for him to coach, and the AD was just like, no. So if you're Ole Miss, there should be some worry. From what was reported, he's taking his offensive coordinator, strength and conditioning. He's taking a few other coaches with him. I mean, the roster, a lot of those guys are going to go with him as well. I mean, I would be a little worried. You also don't know what the committee is going to do. We saw what happened with a Florida State team who had one loss, and then Jordan Travis goes down and they're like, oh, well, by the bylaws, we have every right to kick you out if one person is missing from this equation that we deem important. So if you're Ole Miss, you should be a little worried if the committee is going to sit here and put an asterisk by you and say, well, you don't have your head coach. And that's who we were leaning on. So what should we look at you as now? I mean, if you're Ole Miss, you sit there and you go towards the goal at head, which is the CFP wanting to compete. But there is a dark cloud over it. And I think that can't be ignored.
Yeah. Ole Miss hasn't won the SEC in 60 years. So this was their best shot of breaking that 60-year streak. Looks like it might be 61. Who knows? Who knows? I know the question has been brought up about the timing of this move. Obviously, we've talked about it being right before college football playoffs. A lot of people are asking or questioning if the NCAA should stop any coaching hires until after the national championship. What are your thoughts on that?
I do agree. I mean, it's just a disadvantage for the team, for the players, even for the coaches. I don't think they're able to make sound decisions. I mean, Lane was kind of on a clock, given by Ole Miss. A lot of people have been bringing up like Kalen DeBoer and how he was hired after. And I'm like, well, we were all waiting to see what Nick Saban was going to do. Like he was deep in the postseason at that point. So it's not like we're LSU who fired their head coach in the middle of the season, right? Like, it might have been different if they were able to wait, but they didn't. So I think it is on the NCAA. Like, you got to put a calendar in place. I do believe they should wait till after the Natty is played to allow coaches time. It doesn't give this messy breakup. Now we're having these conversations. Should he have been able to coach? Should he have not? When if you just wait till it's all over, we're not in this entire situation. I mean, Nick Saban has said it best. The calendar is horrible. The transfer portal calendar is bad. National Signing Day is bad. It's all bad. And it's not really on a good calendar of what actively is happening in college football, which is playoffs, conference championships, which matter a lot. I mean, we all saw it. People were sitting there outside the AD's house waiting on Lane Kiffin because they were actively watching the Auburn-Alabama game to see if they were going to play in the SEC championship, which is crazy, right? Like his entire decision was practically based off one game. Mm-hmm. So you got to change the calendar. It's just bad.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of conversation around specifically transfer portal. I know that's been a hot topic, and same goes for players. I know obviously transfer portal affects both players and coaching and staff and teams, rosters, etc. But same principles should be applied to coaches as well. The ability for them to just up and leave kind of whenever they feel like it is unfair to the program. I feel like there's a huge conversation around just the idea of being bought into a school's culture too, where, fans have this almost, I don't want to say delusional level of loyalty, but it's almost close to that, especially depending on the school or the program, where they want their coach to be equally as bought in. But, that's not the reality. The coaches have to make business decisions at the end of the day. So it's, it's no hard feelings. It's nothing against them. But, from a fan perspective, people seeing it from the outside in, that's been a common sentiment that I've seen around the college football landscape is, why aren't these coaches as committed to the school as we are? And for that, we don't have an answer for you right now. But
I mean,
I
Come
don't know if we
on.
ever will.
It's college football. What do
It
you
is.
expect? Like, why would you expect people to have to be loyal to programs that aren't loyal to them? Like, we're seeing people get fired left and right with no remorse. Like, why would we hold these coaches to that same principle that they must be loyal? It's almost trying to hold players to being loyal. Like, at the end of the day, that is their life and how they choose to do fit. You hope that they do it in a good way, but these programs are giving themselves too much credit as though they are aligning themselves with loyalty and respect. Like, y'all are out here literally firing people at the dead of night. Like, come on now.
Right.
Like, if someone is choosing to leave, that is their choice. But it goes back to what we said, it's the calendar. Because if it was done differently, we all wouldn't be in such a fit about it. It's just the fact that Ole Miss is actually really good and about to be playing in the CFP. If this team was bad, nobody would care about this.
Right.
But it is different. But that's an NCAA problem. I don't think that's a coaching problem or a fan issue of disloyalty. It's like, man, it's the NCAA. Like, until they figure this thing out, it's going to keep looking like this.
Absolutely. Got some folks in the chat. Mr. CHWIS, they didn't want him to potentially influence players and other coaches to go to LSU with him. It's a tough situation. We got TJ the guy too. Cannot wait for the LSU versus Ole Miss game next year. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Mr. CHWIS, again, he wanted to stay and finish the season. They denied. Maybe LSU gave him a deadline to accept the offer. Somebody said players do it all the time. NIL's changed college football. This isn't nothing new for Lane Kiffin. I think all things that we've kind of already touched on. We got some ingredients in the chat. So, hey, we'll see. I'm looking forward to that Ole Miss LSU game too. At this point, it's always fun to see players, coaches go back and face their former teams.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's going to be
LSU is happy.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I don't think like these players are like boo-hoo, whoop-de-doo. Like, like we got the guy. That's how I kind of put my barometer by how they react to the news.
Mm-hmm.
These guys are like jumping for joy. They're like, yes, like we get Lane Kiffin. That's why I'm like, all this other stuff. I'm like, y'all's feelings are hurt, granted, but this isn't like Lane from Tennessee where he lied and then left. USC, he was fired.
Right.
I mean, everyone knew he wasn't staying at FAU. At this point, to me, this is the best thing that he could have done. He tried his best. I think he did have good intentions, but it's going to be messy. No breakup is very, nice, as much as we all like to lie to ourselves. It was mutual. It was this. Like, someone's going to leave a little bit more hurt than the other.
Yeah.
Like he probably is hurt, but more so for the players. I don't think he wanted it to be like this, which is why he said, I asked to stay. The players asked for me to stay. Ole Miss said no, which is him trying to be like, I'm not the villain. Like, I didn't try to do a Tennessee part 2. Like, I was honest. I was transparent. I tried. They didn't want me to. I think people should be more mad at Ole Miss, not necessarily Lane Kiffin then.
Yeah, that's a good point. And to your point about LSU being happy, I know that they're ecstatic over there. They were freed from the shackles of Brian Kelly. The celebration started weeks ago. So yeah, this is just the cherry on top of the sundae for them, honestly. Got someone in the chat saying program will always be fine. Yeah, it will, and they'll figure it out. And like Lachelle said, fingers should be pointed at Ole Miss, not necessarily Lane Kiffin. Best of luck to Lane Kiffin at LSU. Yeah. Very excited to see what that season looks like. And best of luck to Ole Miss as they go through the rest of this college football season. It should be a very, very interesting outcome for them. Speaking of other college football action this weekend, it's Thanksgiving week. We just wrapped it up, which means it is rivalry week across the college football landscape. I got to watch some of my favorite matchups. I'm going to start off with OSU versus the school up north. You can't say their name. It's just bad taste in my mouth. But OSU finally ended their 4-game losing streak to the Wolverines in the big house, might I add. Came in, we took over 27-9. Some might argue BTA. I'm just the messenger. This game was won, in my opinion, at the line of scrimmage. Historically, OSU has come in as the finesse team, and Michigan has come in as a more dominant team. But this year was different. This year felt like a full team win by Ohio State. Lachelle, I want to know from your perspective, what do you think this win meant, and why is it more than just a W for OSU?
I mean, it's a culture thing. You know, OSU needed that. You need that for the history. You need that, almost for your own confidence as a program. Like you got to feel like we beat them. They did not get the best of us. We were able to showcase our best football. I mean, for OSU, you definitely saw, I think they tried early on to kind of cement it like, hey, we're not coming here to play. And then like Julian Sand throws that interception. But after that, you could tell that they just understood that they were the better team. And I don't think any sign stealing was happening because Michigan didn't look like they understood what was going on most of the time. So, I mean, for Ohio State, it's a win to be proud of. It's something for Ryan Day. You could tell it meant a lot to him. I mean, he definitely handled it with class. I seen the video where he's like telling Moore, like, hey, can you get your guys like off the field? Like, we're not trying to plant no flag, like just get them off. And you see that he didn't really try to get them off. So I don't know. That was kind of funny to me because I think he really was like, I'm not trying to have no problems. Like, we finally beat you, whatever. But, there was a lot of talk that was talking from Michigan, especially Bryce Underwood saying, I ain't scared. It is what it is. Him telling LeBron, like, I'm about to beat y'all. And then, I mean, they go out there and pretty much, he didn't even have a touchdown. So it's a big win for OSU. Something to be proud of for sure. I know you're happy.
Oh, I'm over the moon. It puts me in a really tough situation for next weekend, though, and we'll get to that here in a second. But yeah, that four-game losing streak, we needed to see that be broken. The conversation year after year is that Ryan Day cannot win big games. He was about to lose his job last year if they didn't win the national championship. I don't know if Ryan Day would be the head coach at Ohio State right now. So it's good to finally see him get this one under his belt. With that said, kind of answering the question, I think that this is a huge psychological payoff for the Buckeyes. It is a huge boost of confidence. And not to mention, like I said, we're kind of foreshadowing to a future conversation, but it keeps OSU's perfect record and allows them to punch their ticket to the Big Ten championship. And more importantly, it serves as a message that this isn't a one-dimensional offense or bend, don't break defense. We are seeing, I think, has the AP poll has ranked as the best team in the nation. And I think we will see game after game after game in the future. They will prove that they are 100% the best team in the nation. Sure. I want to move on. Oh, we got some people in the chat that Michigan players should have been kicked out for what he did towards that ref. The
headbutt was crazy.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, but somebody was like, he was trying to, I guess, show what Ohio State was doing, which was like headbutting them and going low. But I'm like, you made contact with a ref, dude.
Yeah, that's
like,
never a good
There's
look.
no way you should still be in this game. But maybe for the ref, they were like, this game's too big for me to start ejecting people. So he just took it on the chin.
Let it slide. Yeah, who knows what the ref was thinking, but yeah, that was crazy. That was crazy to watch. All right, we got Vanderbilt, Tennessee, another highlight of the weekend, and what was arguably the best game that I watched. That game had me more locked in than Ohio State, Michigan, and my Ohio State, the school up north. Wow, I said the M word. Vandy defeated Tennessee 45-24. Lachelle, as you're watching this game, what stood out to you about Vanderbilt specifically?
They just got a lot of fight to them. I think I respect their second half adjustments, staying in the game, within the game, despite kind of having a slow start to it all. But people ain't gonna like what I'm about to say. I don't know why Vanderbilt just reminds me of like the Tennessee team last year. I don't know why that, like, yes, you're winning tough games and it looks impressive and the record's good, but like something about it, I'm just like, I don't know if I'm convinced, and I should be. I'm upset that I'm not, because I want to be convinced. It's nothing against Diego Pavia. I think he is putting on a performance. I mean, he's putting the team on his back, literally. Like, he's going to New York. He's going to be a Heisman finalist, rightfully so. But the team itself, I'm just like, I don't know if I'm sold. Chat, tell me if I'm wrong. It's just, I have a little bit of doubt, and I don't know what the doubt is. I don't know if I just don't think they're there yet, or, maybe I just think it's fool's gold. I don't know, but it's like, they're impressive to watch because it's so much fight. And you saw it in this game, them being able to come back, kind of just flip that switch and be like, hey, we're Vanderbilt. Like, this ain't the Vanderbilt of old. This is the Vanderbilt of new. We're going to come out here. Who cares about the first half and win this game? But I have some reservations, sadly.
You're the first person that I've heard say that. And I respect
I don't like
the
I don't
take.
like that I do.
It's
I don't like
okay.
that I do.
Hey,
I don't
that's
like
okay.
it.
Maybe your mind will be flipped. Maybe there will be a renewed a new feeling. Somebody said because it's Vanderbilt.
It might be that. It really because I don't have like something to nitpick as much as I would like to and usually do. But it might just be that. Maybe for me, I'm like, it's Vandy. Like, can I really trust you this easily? I don't know. Like, we trust Tennessee last year and they got mollywopped in the CFP. I don't know if I can trust them. It might just be because they're Vandy.
Right. I mean, that's fair. This is a team that historically has not been great. It's hard to gauge what you are ultimately getting out of a program who's never seen success. I mean, this is quite literally the first time in school history that they have had a 10-win season. So yeah, it quite literally has never gotten better than this for them. It has never gotten better than this. So I understand the reservation. Totally makes sense. Going back to the game itself, you mentioned something that I really want to touch on. Their dominance in the second half. They absolutely controlled those last two quarters. Tennessee led 21-14 late in the first half, but Vanderbilt answered just before halftime and then dominated after the break. They scored on every second half drive while Tennessee only managed a field goal. That was huge. Diego Pavia is a game changer time after time after time. We've talked about him being a Heisman finalist. I have a strong feeling he will be the Heisman winner after that game. You're disagreeing. What? Okay, let me know. What are you thinking?
I mean, the options this year are not great to me. Again, the Heisman to me is supposed to be who is the best player in college football. He is not the best player in college. If it was up to me, then Jeremiah Smith or Jeremiah Love is getting the Heisman then. Like, I feel like the award isn't he's not the best player to me. But it's impressive what he's doing, which is so hard.
Would you say he's the most valuable player in college football?
Ooh, I think that would be disrespectful to your guy over there in Indiana.
And that's fair. And I had this argument with somebody in my comment section yesterday because I personally think Vanderbilt without Pavia is a lost program. No disrespect to the rest of the people on that roster, but I look at and not to say, I mean, football is a team sport at the end of the day, so it never falls on one person in particular. However, the quarterback should be leading your offense. The quarterback should be the main person that is spearheading that team for the most part. I look at Indiana and you take Fernando Mendoza out the picture and you sub in somebody else. I don't know who that somebody else is. You're probably going to still have that same season given all the other pieces that are at IU. I had this argument yesterday, and what I said is, they had basically the same year with Curtis and the same roster and the same coaching staff 365 days ago. Fernando Mendoza is not doing anything different for IU than what they were doing a full year ago.
Okay. I see the argument. I don't think it's a bad argument. I guess for me, I'm so jaded by how I look at the award. Like, I'm always look at the Heisman as who is the best player. Like, undeniably the best player in college football. And even like the guys that they have, they are not the best to me. Like I said, I would go and, put in Jeremiah Love then. I would put in a wide receiver. Like, I would go kind of the route that we all went last year with Travis Hunter. Like, he was arguably the best player in college football in almost every position, right? So I think I'm jaded by how I look at the award, which is why it's probably hard for me to feel like Diego's the guy. But I think in the argument that you have, it makes a lot of sense. If I was a voter and I was looking at it that way, yeah, I would look at probably him and Fernando Mendoza and probably have that same conversation of like, almost like the MVP in the NBA, which is like, if you take this guy off this team, do they have the same success? So I can see if a voter was saying that about Diego Pavia, I mean, it's pretty valid. You take him off Vandy, do they have the same success? I mean, the answer is most likely no.
Right. And that's how I'm looking at it from the Heisman conversation. I think Fernando's a very, very close second, but I don't know if I would give it to him over Pavia right now. That's just my take. Chat, you can argue with us. Let us know. What about Julian saying, hey, I love Ohio State, but I again, if you're having, let's say, Jeremiah Love, Diego Pavia, Fernando Mendoza, and Julian saying in the conversation, impact-wise to the program, I'm still choosing, like I said, Diego first, Fernando second, and probably Jeremiah. I don't even know if I would put Julian in top 3, to be honest with you. Because, again, it goes back to, if you take that person out of that team, would they still be okay without him? I think for Ohio State's sake, yes, they would be okay without Julian saying. That's my 2 cents. That's my 2 cents. We're going to go ahead and move on, though, because we still got some other matchups over the weekend that we were able to watch. We got the Iron Bowl, one of the biggest rivalries in the South. We said last episode that Bama has everything to lose and Auburn has nothing to lose, and that this could be a real challenge for the Tide. They ultimately won. Alabama won 27-20, but it wasn't a pretty win. By the fourth quarter, they were tied. It was looking like the game could go either way. Coming that close to a loss to a not great Auburn team, how nervous should Bama be going into the college football playoffs, and what do you think needs to improve?
Maybe not too nervous. I mean, Nick Saban said on College Game Day, like, it's like a haunted house when you play Auburn. like some really spooky stuff happens, weird stuff happens, and I think we all knew that. But I think if you're Alabama, you come leaving this game with a lot of confidence. I mean, I thought the game was over. I did. I was like, I don't think they're going to be able to convert on this fourth down. This game is going to be over. Auburn's going to get the ball. Ty Simpson really impressed me in that fourth down. Kalen DeBoer also having a lot of confidence in that team to go for it, which was insane. But and they said it on the broadcast. They were like, there's no way. To end up with that dot in the tiniest window, when you got at least 2 to 3 rushers coming at you, I have a lot of respect for Ty Simpson on how he finished that game. And if you're Alabama, you're like, oh, if we got that close to almost losing and our quarterback was able to deliver like that after getting hit after hit, because they was smacking him. They was smacking Ty throughout this game. And to find themselves in a situation where they win in that type of fashion, I don't know if I'm worried, more so if I'm confident, like, hey, you can't keep me down there. Like, cool. I think for other teams, we applaud them when they fight hard in games and we commend, those comebacks. With Alabama, I think sometimes we sit there and our expectations are so high that we don't give them the same nod of being impressed when you come back in a game or you're able to fight to the end, even in a close one. So for them, I'm a little bit more convinced, but I'm interested to see how they play against Georgia offensively, especially because that's where I think they struggle the most.
Yeah. Talk about offensive struggles. There's definitely some inconsistencies there. Somebody in the chat said Bama's offense has to be better. But yeah, you speak to the expectations. That's the hard part about Alabama. It's like the standard has been set so high. Like, you think of college football, a lot of people think of Alabama football. Even people who aren't football fans necessarily. So, when we, especially in this post Nick Saban era where there's already a lot of eyes, there's already a lot of pressure on DeBoer and this team. I think it's super easy to get overly critical, and, it's unfortunate for them. However, it's just the precedent that's been set from, previous years. So, it's always going to be a situation where we probably aren't going to be as, giving them their flowers, giving them their praise as most teams because of, just like where they've positioned themselves in the college football landscape. But with that said, like I said, offensive inconsistencies, definitely something that they need to clean up going into the SEC championship this weekend. Last game, we've got Oklahoma versus LSU. OU beat LSU 17-13. Talk about a team showing resilience. Tier had he had 3 early interceptions, yet managed to stay alive. For a team coming off a rough prior season, fighting for a playoff spot, what do you feel like this win said for Oklahoma?
Oklahoma should be worried. That's the team that I'm actually worried about.
Okay.
Because offensively, they started the year so good. And you've seen ever since John Mateer's like thumb injury, they just haven't been the same. His performance worried me because it's just like, this is not the time for you just to be throwing the ghost out here. Like, it just is not the time for this, man. Like, you need to win in convincing fashion. And again, credit to these teams that have a lot of heart to finish out a game, even in a bad start. But I'm worried. Their defense is going to be fine, but it's their offense that really worries me because, like, I had John Mateer at the beginning of this year like a Heisman finalist, and obviously things have been shaky since that injury. But I'm like, dog, like, if you think you're going to survive in the CFP throwing 3 interceptions like that, you're not. You're just not going to do it. And if you're Oklahoma, yes, you sit there and you're like, woo, we're in. But I would be sitting there on Tuesday in the meeting like, hey, we might mess around and run into a team that them 3 interceptions not going to turn out how it turned out this game. We going to mess around and be down 3 touchdowns because of 3 interceptions. So if you're Oklahoma, you should be a little worried. You got to tighten up on that offensive side of the ball. I think that's going to be a big concern throughout the CFP for a lot of teams, but Oklahoma specifically.
No, for sure. They got to clean that up. All right. So we've got some quick predictions for our Power 4 conference championships. This one's going to be really tough. I can feel my heart beating faster. We've got IU versus OSU, Indiana versus Ohio State. Lachelle, who do you have?
Ohio State. I'm convinced with this defense. I don't think there's a defense that can stop Cardinal Tate. And also Jeremiah Smith. The run game is now active. I'm sold.
Chat, play along with us. TJ the guy too said OSU as well.
Make a decision.
I know what I'm going to say. It's just I don't think people are prepared for me to say.
You're about to say OSU.
As a proud alum of Indiana University, I'm going with the Hoosiers. Hoosiers. Go Bucks.
Oh!
Yeah. I mean, hey, somebody in the chat said who. Yeah, I know.
Oh, she's not saying it. She's not saying it, chat.
No, it's always Hoosiers. But
you're not picking. No.
But I'm not picking them for this game. No, I'm not picking them for this game. I mean, I said it earlier in the episode. Ohio State has proved that they're the number 1 team in the nation.
For sure.
And Indiana is number 2.
I know that's right.
So, I mean, yeah, no, I don't think Indiana's gonna get it. Unfortunately,
they're both gonna be in the CFP, so it's all good at the end of the day. Like, even with this loss for either one, like, they're gonna be fine. Even Indiana. Yeah. So it's like, it's you could be in the middle of this one because they're both gonna be fine.
Hey, it's a win-win at the end of the day. I'm gonna be watching that game coming out with a dub either way, because either my Bucks make it or my Hoosiers make it.
Facts. It's a perfect storm.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Gonna be a great game for sure. It's being played in Indianapolis, so just an hour up the road from Bloomington, 3 hours from Columbus. It's gonna be a packed stadium. I'm hoping to get to the game myself. We'll see if I end up there or not. But we all said OSU. Well, we got one person that said Hoosiers. I'm so sorry. I have to disagree with you on this game.
Left you hanging.
Okay, we got Georgia, Alabama, SEC championship. Who you got?
I'm going to go Georgia because I feel like they struggle to beat Bama, but something in me feels like maybe they'll finally find themselves on the right side of this thing.
I'm going to say UGA as well. Chat, feel free to chime along on that one. We got BYU, Texas Tech.
Texas Tech. They're rolling. They're rolling.
They are. They are. I was surprised. I don't know, like, obviously we've been watching these games week after week, but it was really a shock to me to see them climb in the AP poll. I'm like, where did you guys come from? Because they've been on the radar, but like subtly like on the radar, like not really like, a very glaring.
Oh, for sure. They're going to catch a few people in the CFP. Like, I feel like they're gonna mess around and get a first round with a really good team, and everybody's gonna be like, "Oh, that should be easy," and they're gonna mess around and get out of that first round and be
Mm-hmm.
moving on, and everyone's gonna be like they're gonna have people lose a lot of money in some
Mm-hmm.
parlays for sure.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. No, absolutely. And we already saw Texas Tech play BYU, hence why their ranking in the AP poll went up so drastically because BYU was undefeated for so long. And that was, some might argue, a blowout, 29-7. So yeah, it would be a nice little rematch. I do think that BYU will come in with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. A little bit of a chip on their shoulder. So I don't think it's going to be another situation where you see this huge gap in the score. I think it will be a close game. So I'm very interested to see how that goes. Last but not least, we got the ACC championship. We've got Duke, Virginia. Who are you taking?
I want to say Duke, but something in me is saying Virginia. I'm
Why
gonna
are you
say
saying
Virginia.
Duke?
I feel like you always got to pick one team that you feel like wouldn't win it, and then they mess around and they go win it. Like I don't know, but I'm gonna say Virginia.
Okay.
But listen, don't be ridiculing me because I want to give them the benefit of the
Hey,
y'all.
no.
Chat,
You're right.
y'all saw Bailey just tried to bully me. She goes, Duke, why?
No, somebody's agreeing with you. So there's people on your side. There's people on your side.
Duke, how dare you say Duke?
No, we got two
Virginia.
people in the chat agreeing with you. I'm going Virginia.
I'm picking Virginia.
But I like two people are behind the Duke upset. So just know that you're not alone in that thinking. However,
it's something about it.
I get it. I've seen and I've said before that I think that this Virginia team looks really, really good this year. And I just don't think that Duke is going to be that team to stop them. So that's why I'm confidently saying Virginia. I don't think Duke really has a chance, in my opinion. But for the sake of choosing an upset, I think this could be the one out of all of them. I think this could be the one.
For sure.
And like I said, you got some people agreeing with you. So
those are Virginia. Whoa, chat. Don't be sitting there putting no money on it because Lachelle said, and I said I was thinking it, but I am picking Virginia because one of y'all gonna go and be like, let me go put some money on it.
Because Lachelle said so. And don't go blame Lachelle.
Don't do that. I said it's a thought. It's lingering, but I am taking Virginia.
All right, y'all. Thanks for playing along with us. We got our picks for the Power 4 conference championships this week. I'm very excited to see the outcomes of those games. Let's switch over to the NFL. We got the Bears win over the Eagles. The Bears got arguably, I would say, their biggest win of the season, beating them 24-15 on the road, allowing the Bears to tie the Rams for the best record in the NFC. Lachelle, chat, what were your biggest takeaways from this game?
The Bears. I'm happy for the Bears, man. I said a few weeks ago, chat, y'all remember when Bailey was like, they lucky. And I was like,
yeah, is it luck or is it?
I feel like they're pretty good. Like, I think they could get better in what you've seen now, especially in a game like that against the Eagles, where you have to be pretty consistent on both sides, or at least good enough. And I think for them, it was more of a complete game in a lot of ways. There are weaknesses and holes that we can critique fairly enough. More so probably from Caleb Williams versus the entire team. But I think what you're seeing is confidence. You're seeing them build something. They're understanding their run game was way better in this game. But I think, too, it was the defense for me that I think really showed up in ways that impressed me. Just kind of making sure that they have that type of identity. You see that Ben Johnson has a culture now. And a win like that, you kind of sit there and you're like, oh, we're at least the real deal enough to go far enough, further in this regular season and hopefully find ourselves, in the playoffs. But I was impressed. I mean, you go from lucky against the Eagles to now like, oh, y'all got to be at least pretty good.
Yeah, no, I agree with you at this point. That luck versus good conversation, I'm definitely siding towards they are good now that I've seen more from them. And that was the critique I had prior, was that I feel like because of strength of schedule, it was hard to really determine if this team is actually good. You see them go up against a Super Bowl winning team in a hostile environment. And pull off a win like that. Yeah, you're good. I'm gonna hand it to you at that point. We got TJ the guy 2 in the chat saying Ben was cooking. Ben Johnson's the real deal, man. Ben Johnson's the real deal.
Ben's the guy. I made a video on TikTok at the preseason, and people was like, he 0-2, see that, and now everybody's sitting there with the man got his shirt off in the locker room like he's the guy. It's all about mindset. He's a great coach, an offensive-minded coach. He's brilliant, obviously, but he's buying these guys into what can be. And sometimes you just need a madman that's willing to run through the brick wall, set the house on fire, and leave out unscathed. And Ben Johnson is exactly that guy.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. We've still got some games left in the season before we get to the playoff action, but the Bears are definitely, we'll see them in the postseason. We'll see them in the postseason the way that this is going. The record, like I said, 9-3 after that Eagles win. We're going to move on to some college basketball. Historically, Thanksgiving week, we're used to seeing our favorite college basketball teams participate in the traditional tournaments like the Maui Invitational and Battle for Atlantis out in the Bahamas. But this year, it was all about the Players Era, despite its conception last year. So this is year 2. Last year featured just 8 men's teams divided into 2 small round robin brackets, the impact and the power tournaments, where each team played within its groups and winners were determined by record and basic tiebreakers. This year, the field expanded to 18 men's teams and for the first time included a women's tournament with 4 teams. And the other big change is that the prize was adjusted from $1 million to $2 million. A lot of money on the table. Thoughts on Michigan beating Gonzaga on the men's side, and thoughts on Texas beating South Carolina on the women's side?
The Players Era tournament is so good. And people on Twitter were like, it's not good. No one's in the stands. Da, da, da. The competition is giving March Madness. We're getting matchups early on that we wouldn't get till later in the season, and you're able to get it in November. So Michigan surprised me, and I think they surprised everybody, actually, because it kind of was like, whoa, this is a really good Michigan team, and I think people wanted to see what they were going to be at this point of the season, and you see them get a win like that over Gonzaga, and you're like, oh, that's the real deal. You look at Texas, South Carolina, and now we're all looking at Texas like, whoa, like you got an early win against South Carolina, not in the SEC tournament, not in March Madness. You were able to get this pretty early on. It allows us to see these teams a little bit earlier and give fair criticism, but also I think a lot of fair praise because a lot of them do look good. Michigan in this case, and now Texas. But it also allows you to kind of see the growth that we're going to see with a few of these other teams. But the Players Era tournament is gold to me. I mean, the intensity, it feels real. Those games, they're real. They have a juice to them that I think a lot of games we don't see till later on. So it's fun to watch, especially when we get to see teams like a Michigan, Texas come out and we're all kind of really like shocked, but also really thoroughly impressed.
It's funny. I remember some weeks ago, there was a take that was dropped in our hotline on Instagram where somebody had said, Michigan, I keep saying the M word, the team up north is going to the national championship or something of the sorts. And we were like, delusional. What have you seen to make you think that? And really, this tournament kind of proved us all a little wrong. And that's a good looking team, respectfully. I can say the M word now that we're talking about basketball. It's really only football I care about. Michigan. There we go. I said it. For anybody that's gonna come for me in the chat. But yeah, no, Michigan was looking really good. Really, really good. And then, like you said, you're seeing great basketball so early on in the season. It's like we all wait for March Madness for, the March, April time of the year to come around, and to have that type of play, that style of play, so early in the year. I mean, the money being put behind it is obviously driving, I feel like, a lot of that competition. You see money does a lot of things. I think this is the whole, the thought process behind, implementing the NBA Cup is just to, it's kind of spice things up mid-season. Or earlier in the season, get people a little bit more excited. It's definitely working in the college basketball landscape. There was a lot of criticism of the tournament again this year. I know you've already mentioned, crowds looked a little sparse. But on top of that, just, some criticism about the format. They have mentioned that there will be some changes going into the next season. Is there anything that you want to see them do different as they look to 2026?
Probably how they do the seeding. I think that was one thing everyone was confused about because like certain teams were then playing for third place, but in the tournament they only had like one loss. So it was like kind of weird. And I think a
Yeah.
lot of people were confused about that. But I think they are expanding to more teams. And maybe if they expand to more, they're able to kind of, I guess, branch out with how the brackets are and the seeding. But the seeding is a little confusing for sure. I don't know if you need a loser's bracket and then a winner's bracket, but I don't know. I think that needs to change because a lot of us, including myself, I was confused because certain teams, I was like, why are they playing for third place? Like they just beat the team that's playing in the gym. Like I
Right.
was super confused. And then I think point differential is in there too.
Right.
So like I gotta look that up. But so like there's a lot to that. And I think they need to figure that out.
Yeah, I was seeing some criticism of that as well, where it's like there are certain tiebreaker stats. So it's like you could be undefeated, you have a 2-0 record, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're in that championship game. It might
Right.
come down to, whatever else they're looking at. I think they're doubling the amount of teams next year. I believe I saw
Gonna be a lot.
36. Yeah, I believe I saw 36. So it'd be interesting to see how that all kind of comes together. But yeah, very interesting to hoop. Someone in the chat said players era over Maui this year. I agree. That's what we were all tuning into, respectfully. They got a really, really good situation going on over there. So looking forward to seeing what they can do next year. Obviously teed up a lot of interest going into the rest of the college basketball season. So looking forward to see some of these teams that we talked about, Michigan, Gonzaga, Texas, South Carolina, etc. Tennessee, they were looking really good out there, going forward in the rest of the college basketball season, excuse me. All right. I want to transition over to a little bit of WNBA talk before we jump into our hotline portion of the show. It's been reported, actually, let me backtrack a bit just in case you missed some of the news that happened last week. So the WNBA draft lottery happened. We now know the order in which teams are picking. The Dallas Wings have the first pick in the draft again this year, and it's been reported that the Dallas Wings GM Kurt Miller has received more calls about potential trades for the number one pick in the upcoming draft than he did in the lead up to the 2025 draft. Keep in mind, in the 2025 draft, they took Paige Beckers, and she was the overwhelming number one pick. We knew for months, if not for the full calendar year prior, that she would go number one. Do you think the Wings should trade that pick?
I want to say no. I'm going to stay with no because I was trying to think. I was like, oh, well, they could use it to trade and all of that. But like everyone's pretty much not on contract. So you can really just get somebody really in like free agency, technically. I wouldn't trade it. I mean, to have a number one pick is something that you definitely should take care of. I mean, especially if you're the Dallas Wings, they're not in a position where I think they should even be thinking about trading number one picks. You need all the help you could get moving forward. Despite how people feel, I know a lot of people felt a way about, Cheryl Reeves. She was at like the Lynx little pre-lottery party, and she basically was like, there's no generational talents, and, this draft is just different. And people thought she was being shady, but I think she was being honest, basically saying like, it's not like this is a coveted top 5, or top 1 pick where you feel like you got to hold on for dear life, where I think it's to Kurt's point of letting us know that he's getting, phone calls. So I would keep it personally, even if you don't think that player's generational. You might find a diamond in the rough or even a very established star that's able to slide right into what you're needing them to be. Again, I would only be trading number one picks if you feel like you could go get a real bona fide superstar MVP level player. But frankly, everybody's not on contract. So you can really get that without having to do all that. So I would definitely keep it. But for him to say he's getting phone calls makes me think he's flirting with the idea just a tad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like you're not making that statement if it's not crossing your mind at least a couple of times a day.
Yeah.
I definitely understand the interest to do so. Similar points that you've made. There's no general consensus on who's going number one, and with free agency looming, it makes a lot of sense to let all that clear up and see what the roster shape up. See what the roster shape up to be after, and then draft around that. So I could see them going in that direction. But at the same time, it's like you get a number one pick, you're really just going to give it away. Like it's just kind of hold on to that for now.
Might as well.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, doesn't hurt. I mean, we're talking about number one picks and trades. Do we have a CBA?
Exactly.
Just wondering, you guys. I just,
make a great point.
is a lockout coming or not? Because I actually don't care about the number 1 pick if you're about to tell me that
There's a lockout.
we might not be having a season.
Yep.
Just saying, you guys.
You got to put the cart before the horse before the cart, the chicken before the egg conversation. You know how it goes. Yeah. The one thing has to happen first is the point where we're getting at. And like Lachelle said, we do not have a CBA right now. So let's focus on that first before we start talking about trading picks. Great point. All right. Lachelle, I'm going to let you tee off because it is our favorite segment of the night. What do we got?
All right, you guys know the deal. You gave us some hot takes, some opinions, some questions. Either we're going to debate it, but we aren't going to tell you it's bad. Well, we might. Who knows if it's bad? Let's see. We have, I believe the Chiefs are going to miss the playoffs. Now, whoever sent this to us, I'm low-key with you. And after them playing the Cowboys, I was like, oh, this is over. This is done. They're about to go through a little break in this dynasty. And I'm with you. And I think they said it during the game. They were like, hey, they might mess around and not be in the playoffs because this team doesn't look great. So whoever sent that to us, I don't think that's that hot of a take. I think that's actually a very good take that I think a lot of us are thinking the same thing.
Yeah, I would agree. The Chiefs this year are not the Chiefs of old. It might be the end of, like Lachelle said, the dynasty. They're struggling this year, and that's okay. It's time for somebody else to take a spot in that spotlight. But I don't think that the Chiefs will make the playoffs. We'll see, though. We'll see what happens.
Somebody else has this is definitely a hot take. I don't know if I agree. Bryce Young leads Panthers to the playoffs. I don't see it, but he keeps having these late game wins, and maybe I should see it. Maybe I should be a believer. Bailey, are you a believer? Because I don't know if I am.
I've not been a believer in the Panthers in a very, very long time, so I'm going to say no.
Okay, we'll stand on that then.
Yeah. Sorry, Bryce, but
he's playing better though, and getting those late game wins. I just don't know if I'm a believer in the Panthers. It's the same thing with Vanderbilt. I just don't know if I'm a believer. It's like the Panthers. I don't know.
Again, it's just hard to see optimistic outlook for a team who's historically disappointed. Time again. Now we're not saying that I'm a fan of the Panthers, but history has proven something to me. So
I'm with that.
All right.
Looks like, we have a Indiana OSU score prediction. And this prediction is not in the favor of what you have stated that you believe is going to be the victor of that game. They have Indiana 42, OSU 10. No.
32 points more than Ohio State. You're telling me that they're gonna what? How would we break that down? That's 6 touchdowns, and you're saying OSU is gonna get a touchdown and a field goal?
On that defense is kind of hard for me to believe.
Come on.
That's hard. That defense, a Matt Patricia defense, I don't know.
Yeah.
42 is steep. That's steep.
Maybe flip it and reverse it. Flip it and reverse it. No, I don't know. 42-10 is a little crazy. I know who submitted that too. You might be a little off your rocker. Some of the chat said OSU scoring more than 10. Absolutely.
For sure.
Indiana's defense is good, but they're not. Yeah. They're not holding an OSU to 10. And OSU's offense, all right. What did Jalen Ramsey say in that interview? You know that interview I'm talking about, where it's like in the locker room and the reporter's like talking about the guy that got in his head.
Is that the one where he has like
clips?
Has like his shirt off. And he's like, what?
Yeah. He's like, all right. I have to find it. It's funny, but we'll insert it for the YouTube episode. But that's my mentality right now is Jalen Ramsey in that post-game interview talking about, all right.
Did you just not want to hear it at the end when he came up? I think he came up to you.
Yeah, nobody worried about him. He came to me, You know what I'm saying? On some disrespectful stuff. You know what I'm saying? The game over with. You still mad because I was locking you up? All right, go sleep on that.
But no, we appreciate y'all submitting your hot takes once again for our hotline. These were one of them was okay. One of them was reasonable. The others were a little outlandish, but we encourage you guys to be a little delusional. We want to debate. We want to talk about these. So we appreciate the submissions each and every week. Yeah. With that being said, thank you guys for joining us again for another episode of Off the Record. We are live here on Twitch every Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern time, 4 p.m. Pacific. So make sure to sub or hit that follow button. And if you missed part of the stream, don't worry. Every episode is posted on YouTube the following day, 5 p.m. Eastern time, 2 p.m. Pacific. On that note, we're out.